Last night, I see that President Trump posted out or re-truthed out on Truth Social about 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th. And then he said it was the Biden DOJ that did it. And I made a post at like 1 o'clock in the morning ripping President Trump's ass. And one of the guys that's a Jan 6 supporter got on there and told me that it was pretty foolish of myself to say that, being that the president pardoned me. And I want to address that for you or anybody else that's out there watching right now that thinks that I shouldn't be critical of the president of the United States because he pardoned me. Let me explain a couple of things to you. First, I am only one of two January 6th defendants and the only January 6th defendant that has it on the record as a pretrial detainee that the judge admits, and I'll show it to you right here, where my due process and constitutional rights were violated. Furthermore, that warrants a pardon right there. I was violated, my constitutional and due process rights were violated, and I was still that day denied bond and sent back to solitary confinement. And furthermore, for another year had my due process and constitutional rights violated so bad that after year two, 22 months of being in jail in the DC jail, most of which in solitary confinement, being tortured and abused by the Biden DOJ, I was then finally let out after 2 years when the judge said, I have no choice but to let this man out. Furthermore, my attorney and I put it on the record numerous times and pointed out the FBI agents in the crowd. We went and did our homework. I hired a private investigator. We found out all the FBI agents that were in the crowd and put it in the court. Not only did the prosecution and the government call me a liar, the judge called me a crazy conspiracy theorist and told me not to bring those crazy conspiracy theories into his courtroom. He admonished me, and that was the same day that he also said my due process rights were violated, and he sent me back to solitary confinement. So my due process rights were violated. I was called a liar about the FBI agents in the crowd. My attorney, Joseph McBride, went on Tucker Carlson and talked about Red Face 45. He talked about Pippi Longscarf and the other guys that the government refused to acknowledge and refused to indict. So yes, Jan 6ers are upset this morning. And furthermore, the last part about it, and I'll show you this again, on January 6th, it was Trump's DOJ. It was Trump's FBI. I know some people say it was Christopher Wray's FBI. Trump was in charge. I don't like the blame casting to somebody else. Trump, take responsibility for it. Do the right thing. Make this right with us, because as of right now, you haven't made it right. The pardon doesn't cut it. Our lives have been screwed up royally, and it needs to be made right.